Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus. Well, it's really Michael. He wanted some fudge today, and so we have been using a lot of this espresso powder. And so today I'm going to make him a mocha fudge. Before you get started, you need to line an 8x8 pan with your tin foil, and then butter it on the inside. And then I'll just set that aside for a minute. We're going to put in our saucepan 2 cups of sugar, granulated sugar, and 1 stick of butter, which equals 1/2 cup. Now this is an easy fudge recipe. You will thank me for this one when you see it. And we're going to put in 1 5-ounce can of evaporated milk. You may be like I am, and my can of evaporated milk has 12 fluid ounces in it. Since we only need 5, we're going to measure it off in the measuring cup. 1/2 cup is 4 ounces. 3/4 cup is 6 ounces. So I'm going to put that milk in there where it comes right there in the middle. And we're going to add that. We're going to turn our heat on, and we're going to cook this until our sugar becomes melted. Okay, now our big 1/2 stick of butter isn't near melted, but to that I'm adding 2 cups of miniature marshmallows. Now if you have the large marshmallows, it's going to take about 15 of those, and it's best to cut them up so that they melt faster. And we're going to put in 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And we're just going to cook that until it melts everything and has come to a boil. Okay, now you can see that the butter is melted, it mixed well with the sugar, and the marshmallows are beginning to melt. So now is when I'm going to add 1 heaping tablespoonful of the coffee mixture, the espresso powder. And I'm just going to keep stirring this until it comes to a boil. And then I'm going to boil it for 5 minutes. I love this recipe because you do not have to have a candy thermometer, and you do not have to test it to see if it's come to the soft boil stage or not. So we're just going to stir that in good, watch for it to come to a boil 5 minutes. Okay, my marshmallows have melted, and you can see a few bubbles beginning to come up in that. Now you'll need to stir this off and on because you don't want it to burn on the bottom. But we are now starting our 5-minute cook. Okay, our 5 minutes is up, and you can see it has boiled and all the little bubbles that's all the way across. Now whenever you first start this out, I have an electric stove, and I had it on a 5. And that's what I melted the marshmallows and the sugar and the butter with. Then after it begins to boil really big. I turned it down to, on my stove, a 2. So that is just next to low, and it continued to boil. Now I have removed it from the heat, and I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. One cup of chocolate chips. And these are the semi-sweet. And I'm going to stir those in until they melt. And it doesn't take long, but you want to be sure you get all that butter mixture mixed in good so that it's nice and smooth. And you want to stir this really good for just a little bit. It begins to take on more of it's no longer shiny, it takes on a dull look. And that is it beginning to cool slightly as you stir. And then I'm going to add 1 cup of broken up, they're not fine, they're broken up pieces of pecans. That looks good enough to just eat by itself. I'm now going to pour it into my greased pan, and we're going to let it set for 2 hours. Spread it out so it's nice and even in your corners. And I'm going to let this chill in the refrigerator 2 hours. Okay, our fudge has set in the refrigerator for 2 hours. And I'm just going to lift it out of the pan and put it on a cutting board. Bring the sides of the foil down. And then we're just going to slice that in, about inch pieces. Perfect little piece of fudge.